If you're new here, welcome in, and if you know me, welcome back. Thank you guys for visiting my channel, and today we're talking about MVP Baseball 20 years later. Now, I for one can't believe it's been 20 years since this game came out. I remember I got this game for Christmas when I was a kid, and now I feel really old. But today I want to circle back and run through why this game is so important for a lot of people growing up, what makes it so great, and why it really captures a great era of baseball altogether. Before we continue, I want to say please like and subscribe if you enjoy these videos, if you enjoy these kinds of videos. I know that a lot of my viewers are not subscribed to me, but everything is important. I appreciate you guys so much, and I'm not going to waste any more of your time. Let's get right to it. So I think one of the main parts about MVP Baseball 2005 is that Manny Ramirez is on the cover. And this is really important because this is the season where the Boston Red Sox broke the curse, came back from down 0-3 to the New York Yankees in one of the most historic comebacks in sports history. Manny Ramirez is on the cover, and he's one of the best players in the league at the time, has one of the best swings, I think, in baseball history. And I think it's a real time capsule love letter to what the landscape of the sport was. I think that the first thing that stands out to me is definitely the MVP Baseball soundtrack. It is 9 songs, and I love them all, not equally, but I love them all. And I love the feature back then. Well, I think a lot of sports video games have this now, where you have the option to like turn a song on or turn a song off, or like take a song out of the rotation if you didn't really like it. I never did that, but I understood if there's like a song that you really don't like here. But there were so many good songs right now. We're playing Pressure Point, and a cool thing about MVP Baseball is that I love when sports video games let you do this, when if you click the right thumbstick, you're able to just change the song instantly, right? If you didn't want the song completely out of the rotation, but you also didn't want to hear it right then, you know, you could just take it out. Like, you could just switch it. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is one of my favorite. This also, like, this soundtrack also helped introduce me to like a genre of music that I wasn't really introduced to. I didn't grow up much on rock music as a kid, and these games, including like Guitar Hero 3, there's something about this kind of soundtrack that introduces you to new genres and new interests and new hobbies, and for that I'm always thankful of this soundtrack. My favorite song out of here, I think, has to be, it might be Funny Little Feeling. Funny Little Feeling, I think, is my favorite one. Yeah, Funny Little Feeling, definitely. I love this song, especially after like a win in Dynasty mode. Perfect. Now, I think that a tragedy of MVP Baseball also relies on the fact that this was the last Major League Baseball game made by EA Sports. And the fact that whenever you log into MVP Baseball, you see the fact that there are 3 new features, right? So owner mode and mini games. This is the only game in MVP Baseball that you're able to play the mini games and the owner mode. And I think that that's what's so special about this version of MVP Baseball, because it felt like, it feels weird now because when I got this series for Christmas when I was a kid, I didn't think that this was going to be the last MVP baseball game ever, right? Except for the college baseball games, which we could talk about definitely in another video. But I'm really just surprised by like how I never really think about these as new game modes, but I think this is the only video game in the MVP Baseball series that has owner mode and mini games. And we're going to check out mini games first. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about how there's batting, pitching, and untimed pitching. Now, I personally wasn't a fan of the pitching one because I just wasn't that good at it. Now, I was more of an untimed pitching person, and that we're definitely going to do untimed pitching here. And we're going to talk about let's pick Trevor Hoffman. And of course, with the mini games, you had a lot of editability in terms of like the size of the mini game zones and the pitching view and all of that. I really like the sense of just, you can mix and match what your settings are. And I love when a sports video game does that off the bat. Now, a big part of this pitching game mode was that you're supposed to put the corresponding pitch to the corresponding block right here. So here I got the pitch perfect, but I missed. I have to get a certain amount of points in 9 pitches. But there, that was about, that was a 1225. And even though all the pitches. These pitches are not in Trevor Hoffman's arsenal. Some of these pitches Trevor Hoffman does not have. I don't think Trevor Hoffman has a two-seam fastball. But in these pitching mini games, they add it so that you can have more variation, and it makes it for a tougher game. So here I'm so close to getting a 3,000, and oh nope, didn't get it. Now I can get, if I hit the circle change up, yep, for sure. All right, I got it, but I can still like add more points if I want to. But that's the untimed pitching mini game. Now the timed pitching mini game is a lot tougher, and it allows for like quick thinking and strategy and whatnot. But I wasn't really a fan of playing this mini game. I'm gonna be honest, I just didn't. I think that they put that in the game. I like when sports games offer us options and modes, but the thing about that is that you're not gonna love everything, which is great. That's fine. This is not my favorite thing. Now we're gonna get to my favorite mini game mode for sure. So we're moving on to the batting mini game, and the batting mini game allows you to choose any windup in the game to hit off of. Also, it lets you choose right or left-handed, and the hitter's eye. We'll talk about the hitter's eye in a second, but again, it allows you to have your options, right? So if I want to hit I think this is Byung-Hyun Kim, so I think that this is a sidearm pitcher. So I'm going to see and try my luck with this on the first go around here. So you have Miguel Cabrera, you have again, you have the option to, well, you're being told where to hit it, and if you hit it in the correct area, you get a bonus. Also, you're instructed to sometimes hit a fly ball, a ground ball. So here it's asking me to hit a ground ball, but I missed it because I mistimed the pitch. But then here it's asking for a grounder down the first base line, and again missed it because it's a changeup. I cannot. I'm having a hard time reading the hitter's eye real quick. There it is. Oh, so see how I hit the grounder, but it wasn't in the accurate bonus area, so I messed up there. Also, you had these ramps that were allowed you to like kind of reward you, and if you hit these buses and stuff, you got bonuses, and you can pass the rounds pretty easily, and you get extra points for having the pitches left. So yeah, the good thing about this batting mini game is it didn't feel like you had to use a certain number of batters. It like rewarded you for power and accuracy. So even if your hitter wasn't the most powerful bat, you still were able to make up for it in other ways, whether it was accuracy, whether it was like hitting the tractors, which are bonus points. Oh, that's a hard delivery to read, especially when I haven't played the game in years. Okay, I played the game. I did a Twitch stream a while back, but I wasn't actually playing the game. Okay, so that one is 900 points right there. I thought that was a curveball. Oh my god. All right, now here I can just hit it to left field. There it is. And even if I don't hit it far, oh, it might hit the vortex. If it hits the vortex, it gets sent all the way back. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, it's stuck there. Okay, 300. We'll take that. All right, so now I want to talk about one of my favorite parts of MVP baseball, and it's a thing called the hitter's eye. Now, the hitter's eye was a color-coded system that was able to tell the batter what pitch could have been coming, right? So again, white is fastball, red is breaking ball, green is changeup, purple is like sinker, splitter, forkball, and then yellow, of course, is knuckleball, because that's in a league of their own. Now, of course, the color coding system would vary off of a pitcher's arsenal. So let's say Barry Zito had a fastball, curveball, and changeup, right? When you were going against Barry Zito, you knew what pitch was coming if you had this option turned on. So you knew how to time the changeup. You knew how to time the curveball. You knew how to time the fastball. Now, on the other side of it, if you were going against someone named Mariano Rivera's arsenal was four-seam fastball, two-seam fastball, and cutter. So that's it. So even though you knew what type of like category of pitch was coming, you wouldn't know what pitch was coming because Mariano Rivera was not going to show his hand, and the hitter's eye was not going to help you. So again, the more pitches you had in your arsenal, the harder it was to read, right? Because a lot of these pitchers had curveballs and sliders, right? I know Mike Mussina had a knuckle curve, and we're gonna go through some of the pitching arsenals a little bit later. But yeah, I think the hitter's eye was a really fun mechanic. I understand why it's not in every baseball video game, but as someone that was new to baseball video games, it really helped me in terms of just timing in this game, because hitting is very fun and rewarding, and pitching is very fun and rewarding as well. Another thing MVP Baseball allowed you to do was have a home run showdown. So right here, I'm going to use Ichiro, right? And I don't care. Give me Moises Alou. And basically, it's like a home run derby, but it also, you can go by distance or just total. Yeah, I think it was distance. And it was like not total number of home runs. So it just depended on how far you hit the ball. Didn't matter if it was a home run or not. That was the coolest part in terms of like, you didn't feel like you had to hit a home run. So like with Ichiro, even if you made contact, well, Ichiro is more powerful than the game gives off, but you get bonus points for a home run if I'm correct. Oh, I'm getting struck out here. Oh man. And you get negative points for a foul ball, of course. There we go. I think that's one. There we go. There it is. So the thing about the home run showdown is it doesn't look like there's a hitter's eye. So they're just going to mix up the speed on you. So it makes it a little bit difficult. Or more difficult. You don't get curveballs thrown in the home run derby. You don't get curveballs thrown in the home run derby like this. Like the home run showdown is actually still trying to like challenge you a little bit, which is fine. Now, one minor complaint I have about MVP Baseball is that the overall is not a actual number rating. It's just a meter, which makes it really hard to tell sometimes when a player is better than another if they're so close. And especially as someone that works on Fumble Dimension, works at Secret Base, it would be very helpful if I was doing most virtual player to be like, oh, this player is a blank overall. I can't be like, this player is a meter overall. It makes it tough. But I will say that this is just a minor nitpick. I do also appreciate the player stats that they show. They show the actual MLB career pitching and the attributes that contribute to each pitch. So like Josh Beckett, his like changeup, it is a pitch, but it's not one that you would throw that often compared to the other ones because it's not as good. And I think the cool thing about batters as well is that they have the spray chart and the hot and cold zones. I always appreciate hot and cold zones because I feel like in this game they matter a lot. I don't know how much of a power boost or power decline each zone is, but yeah, it was really cool to see that and have it be visible to everyone when you're playing. Also, again, we have the stats where it's like, again, these are great number stats that really help, and they're really extensive too. I really like this way of menu skill in terms of like just showing everything. Like you don't have that much space on the screen, but you still have the option to be able to dig as deep as you want to. Now, one of my favorite parts about MVP Baseball is the stadium selection. You have of course, all of the stadiums that were currently in the game at the time, in addition to all the classic stadiums that we're going to get to right about now. Nope, wait. Okay, here we go. We got the classic stadiums, you have the Astrodome, and each time that you go look, you have you can show the info of the stadium. So this allows you to check the normal wind, if there is wind, but this is a dome here, and you get to see the dimensions, the type of turf, the average attendance, the amount of foul territory, which for a lot of people can be important as well. And you can see here that each stadium is a little bit different. And the thing about it is that the classic stadiums, the dimensions are just all out of whack, which allows for some really funny gameplay. So for instance, we all know about Polo Grounds, especially if you play MLB The Show, and Polo Grounds has a 483 foot to center field while being 280 and 258 left to right field, which is crazy to me. It's so funny though. But then you also have some underrated ones. I think Griffith Stadium. Yeah, Griffith Stadium is 424 down to left field. Like this is the best part about MVP baseball, because you can just make these crazy wacky games and nobody is like, it doesn't matter. It's just so cool. And then you have what is this, Forbes Field, 435 to center. You have classic Fenway Park, and I think the dimensions are still the same there. Crosley Field is a little bit weird. Metropolitan Stadium, 431, 430. That's a little bit far as well. Now you also get some pretty generic minor league stadiums, which, like, yeah, I get it. I know that they have every minor league team in the game, but I think putting in every minor league ballpark would be a little bit just too much work. I totally get it. Now the thing is, I love minor league ballparks. I love going to a minor league baseball game. I think they have usually better food than Major League Baseball, and it's a better atmosphere. So they have, again, AA, and then the spring training stadiums. The spring training stadium, this one has a 290. So there's a short porch. Like, these have short porches. So if you ever wanted to just like try to hit as many home runs as you could play in this wacky dimension. Now, another thing you could do is you could upload your created ballpark, and we're gonna go to the created ballpark thing a little bit later. But let's see. I don't even know what field this is. Oh, Cofield. All right. Now, I had dimensions 410, 310, 340. So that was the ballpark that I had made. And I'm just going to go back and choose a random field. I'm going to choose, let's see, Griffith Stadium. Now, what I want to talk about is the gameplay. So the gameplay has, again, the pitching meter, very simple, very easy to time. And of course, the more stamina you have, the easier it is to pitch. Also, depending on what pitch you're throwing, it's very important. So here we have Randy Johnson pitching. Now, I'm late timing wise, but we're still able to get Ichiro out with it. Again, it's baseball. Sometimes you don't have to throw the best pitch to get an out. Now, here, let me try to throw the changeup. It's a little bit harder to perfect. It's a little bit harder to get a perfect because of just the sheer change in overall, whereas the slider has a little bit more leeway. Same with the fastball, because Randy Johnson has a 99 overall fastball and slider. And again, you pitch to the blue zone versus the neutral and the hot zone. It's a very good game of strategy here, especially when you're going against a computer, because that so matters. Now, again, I also love the unique batting stances of the game. We'll talk about that later, potentially. But again, got Pepper the blue. Now, one thing I want to talk about here is the throwing. Now, you have a regular throw meter here. It might be familiar with some games that you've played earlier, but yeah, sometimes you're able to just throw. Now I'm gonna do the pickoff thing just to put the throw meter back on. And again, you're able to just run. And again, if you want to throw as hard as you can do in the red. But again, like Mike Piazza is not a really good thrower. He's gonna have more inaccurate pitches and balls. So sometimes if you throw it enough, the ball's going to go right by Jeff Kent, like so here. And then Vladimir Guerrero is able to try to take third here to see if Carlos Beltran can get him. Nope. And that's what it is that again, the throwing meter and being able to throw what base, it's so easy. It's just the buttons. And I know that a lot of baseball games use this button configuration, but some, like NCAA college baseball, was able to do, they tried the right thumbstick, and I didn't really like that. I thought it was too dramatic of a change, but that's for a different video here. Another cool thing about MVP Baseball is the drop down menu, the pause menu here. It gives you a lot of information, especially in terms of like who's coming up to bat, who's on base, how fast are they. That's so important. And then it also shows Randy Johnson's like current ERA. Like, well, if you're playing in Dynasty mode, it will show Randy Johnson's like actual ERA throughout the game, or like throughout the season too, which is very fascinating stuff. Again, here's the hitter's eye, and also you get to look at the pitch history, especially if you're batting against the same pitcher for like the second time. You're able to see what combination they threw at you. Also, you're able to see their arsenal in terms of the color coding, and it gives you a better idea of like what the pitcher can actually throw. So I think that that's really cool. Another cool thing that this game has is a thing called pitch swing analysis. So they're able to show you the timing of the ball. So let's see here. Mark Mulder, I think, threw a slider, or threw a breaking ball at least. So now I'm able to see that, hey, he threw the slider. I was able to time it correctly. Now, whatever it is, the direction will change based on like my left thumbstick. It's like aiming. It's like directional aiming in terms of hitting. So timing plus where I want it to aim in terms of how I want a fly ball, ground ball, all depends on the left thumbstick placement as well. Now, another thing about MVP Baseball was the ability to unlock players, jerseys, stadiums, and stuff through MVP rewards. And it was a good system that allowed you to unlock all of these like retro players like Al Kaline, all of these players, Lou Boudreau, Ferguson Jenkins, Phil Necro, get to Mickey Mantle. And you can unlock all of these players over time. And of course, you had the MVP checklist. So you had to do all of these different things to unlock these points, whether it was have a pitcher pitch a perfect game. Oh, I did that. I can't remember pitching a perfect game, but I pitched a perfect game apparently. That's 1,000 MVP points. And then you have all these other MVP points that are available. So you don't need to be able to complete every achievement to unlock every person in the game. You could also do this by beating players in a home run showdown. You get to beat certain players. You get MVP points, mini games, MVP points, reach level 6 in the batting mini game. How have I not done that? Okay, I'm really puzzled as to how I've not actually done that. I think reaching level 2 is pretty easy. But yeah, everything is unlocked, right? You have the legendary teams, and it tells you how to unlock all these players. And then you have the option to unlock all of these jerseys. So there are so many retro jerseys in the game for every team, which is the coolest part about the game. Because again, you saw the classic field where you're able to like go back in time. You're also able to go back in time with the classic jerseys as well, which makes it really fun. Next up, I want to go through some of my favorite players in MVP Baseball 2005, players that I always would want to add to my roster, and then just talk about some other prominent players in the game. So when it comes to pitchers, I was a huge Mets fan, and I really loved everything about Pedro Martinez. I think he's one of the few players in the game that has 4 pitches over a 90 rating. Like, there are not many pitchers in the game that have that. He's one of the best in the business. Obviously, also, I'm a huge fan of Tim Wakefield. His knuckleball, 92 overall. It was very fun to try to use him as a knuckleball pitcher and see what the computer AI does, because they will swing at certain pitches. Every curveball and knuckleball that was down in the zone, the computer AI was going to swing at it, so that was a perfect strikeout pitch. Also loved Bronson Arroyo's windup. It was pretty cool to time. Obviously, Zach Greinke was very fun. Zach Greinke was very fun in terms of a 5-pitch person, because he made the curveball just like super slow It is one of the slowest curveballs in the game, and it's so cool. It was very hard to hit because you also had the slider that was also red. So the hitter's eye, when the ball was red, you didn't know just how fast that pitch was going to be. So it made it really tough for hitters to get a read on him. And then here we have 38-year-old Greg Maddux, who I know he isn't in his prime right now, but he was a really fun pitcher to try to use. His two-seam fastball was deadlier than his four-seam fastball, it seems. I would always have Kyle Farnsworth on my team. I just don't know. Whenever I did fantasy drafts, he just seemed to always be available. Mark Mulder was really tough to hit. His 91 splitter and 95 stamina. So when you went against him in Dynasty, you knew that you were going to face him for like at least 7 innings unless you really went to town and rallied. Now, Jeff Weaver, 91, had a pretty good starting pitching arsenal. Odalis Perez as well. Brad Penny's fastball, one of the best pitches in the game, as well as Derek Lowe's 98 sinker, man. That was incredibly tough to work with if you were hitting against him. Now, the coolest thing about MVP Baseball, in my opinion, has to be the Dynasty mode. You could begin a 121-year Dynasty. 121 years. Think about the max years in a Dynasty that current sports games have. I don't think it's 121 years. And you had a series of goals to achieve and whatnot. And it was really a challenge, honestly. So to start off, well, I'm doing a fantasy draft just for the video in terms of just getting all of the players that I used to like to add to my team and all the players that I want to talk about for the rest of the video. So we're first going to talk about John Dowd. I don't think he's the best hitter in the game because when you look at left-handed versus right-handed pitching, there are certain hitters that are better at hitting against left-handed pitching. But again, this is Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds was not in the Players Association, I think, so they had to make up a player for him. Now, of course, 99 overall power and contact, but I personally never really hit well with him. I do not know why. I always hit better with Albert Pujols instead of John Dowd. Now, of course, John Dowd, they made his age 40. I think that he was 40. Was Barry Bonds 40 at the time? I'm not really sure. But yeah, he is easily the highest player in the game overall wise. But I don't really think that he's the best. And the reason why is because MVP Baseball, the speed factor in MVP Baseball is so important. So if you go down to a player like Vladimir Guerrero, he has 80 speed. But look at the power and contact. It seems like it's more of a balance. So that's why I always preferred Vladimir Guerrero to Barry Bonds, because on top of that, you have the throwing strength, the fielding, you have the extra defense and stuff like that. So I always thought that those factors made up for it. And that's like basically just my opinion. And then you have Albert Pujols, who I think personally is the best hitter in the game, because those hot zones that you see over here, like those hot zones that you see in the top left, automatic home run every time. And you have Todd Helton. I wasn't a big Todd Helton adder to my team. I'm not sure. I just wasn't a big fan of that but I was a fan of Manny Ramirez, so I would add him to the team usually. Now, of course, you got Pudge here, who's the best catcher in the game. Throwing strength, throwing accuracy, 99 on top of the hitting prowess, on top of the fielding prowess. Of course, one of the best catchers of all time. Scott Rowland, I think, very underrated player to add to your team because of the throwing strength and accuracy and the defense. So you have a lot of great choices here. And then you have Pedro Martinez, best pitcher in the game, followed by Johan Santana, who had just a powerful fastball. Adrian Beltre is up here. I think it's because of the throwing strength as well. And then Randy Johnson, who's I think 41 at the time. Oh my goodness, Randy Johnson's 41. Has the best fastball slider combo, both 99, just 2 unhittable pitches. And this is like 41-year-old Randy Johnson. So you know that's something special. David Ortiz, while he was really mediocre against left-handed pitching, against right-handed pitching, there is not many people with a more beautiful swing, especially against a two-seam fastball. And then I think Ichiro, personally, I think Ichiro is the best player in the game. I think whenever a ball touches the wall with Ichiro, it's an automatic triple, at least. He's that fast. And then he has the throwing strength 99 to 95, throwing strength to accuracy, great fielder, always could get on base. I think that Ichiro also, the contact really helps with his power. Like, he has underrated power in this game. Like, all he has to do is get a hold of a two-seam fastball and he can launch it out of the park, right? Then you have Carl Pavano, Tim Hudson, Barry Zito. Yeah, like Barry Zito, again, he only had 3 pitches, but they're all phenomenal. It made it easier for the hitter's eye stuff, but then you have Miguel Tejada, of course, who was a good combination of everything. Ben Sheets, okay, yep. And then you have Roy Oswalt. I loved Roy Oswalt's windup and delivery. John Smoltz at this time, 37-year-old John Smoltz was still wheeling and dealing. A-Rod's a little bit underrated here, I want to say. Well, look at his power. His power against right-handed pitching, I feel like it's a little bit on the lower side compared to versus left-handed pitching. I'm not sure how good A-Rod was at this time, but I feel like his right-handed hitting had to have been better than that. Larry Walker was a good right-handed hitter, as well as a laser arm and fielder. You got Derek Jeter here. I think that Derek Jeter's defense is a little bit buffed compared to, like, because there's been a discourse about Derek Jeter's defense in real life, and I feel like video game Derek Jeter is better. And then you have Jim Tomei, of course. I wasn't really a fan of using Jim Tomei because of all of the cold zones here, because these are also very important. The amount of hot zones that you have can also affect the hitter's like power. Like, so I wasn't ever really afraid to pitch to Jim Tomei because of all of the lack of like hot zones. I loved having Carlos Beltran on my team because I just have a love for switch hitters. And while he's not like the best hitter in the game, it's a good balance of right-handed versus left-handed pitching. Also, the speed, the 91 speed, very valuable. Any speedster over 90 overall in this game is like just very, very menace to society. They can bunt for a hit and then steal a base easily. Roger Clemens, Mark Mulder, Eric Chavez, Oliver Perez, Zambrano, Carlos Lee. Again, the left-handed pitching, see, it's like the cold zones. It wasn't that like versus like a Jim Edmonds. I'd much rather have Jim Edmonds on my team than Carlos Lee, because Jim Edmonds had one of the best bat flips in the game. Bobby Abreu, Andrew Jones is down here at 27, because he's one of the best fielders, best defenders of all time. So yeah, there's definitely a balance of the stuff here. So I guess first pick, I'm gonna click Vlad, and then Albert Pujols. Well, a lot of the game picks pitchers. Starting pitchers often take a lot of the first kind of picks. So I'm gonna take Mark Pryor, and then Jim Tomei, Travis Hafner, Paul Camargo, Matt Clement. Yeah, Matt Clement for sure. Okay, now we have a lot of first basemen left over. Zach Greinke? Yeah, okay, let's start with the rotation here, and then we're good here. Yadier Molina still available, right? A lot of pitching is still available. You got Bartolo Colon, who was 31 at the time. Let's see. Travis Hafner was always interesting because look how powerful he is against right-handed pitching versus left-handed pitching. So he's always an interesting like DH option, I guess. Paul Konerko is also a good hitter. I think here we're going to go Randy Wolf, and then we're getting into the position players. Yadier Molina is still available. Second baseman, Placido Polanco, used to pick him. Tony Womack was a good pick down after like a certain amount because you would want to pick all speed players. So I picked BJ Upton. I would pick Tony Womack. Everything else is about speed. It doesn't really matter. You got Miguel Olivo. I would pick Doug Marabelli as my catcher usually because Mike Piazza, while he's like a good left-handed hitter, he's also like one of the worst throwing catchers in the game. So him versus like a Henry Blanco who had an absolute laser, you would have to balance between that. Marcus Giles, Harrison, Ray Durham. Liked Ray Durham a lot because of his speed. Let's see here. Marquise Grissom, left-handed hitter, power, Scott Pasegnik, 95 speed, Alex Sanchez, 90 speed. So I would go for speed players a lot, but let's see if there's any more power hitters available. I did sacrifice that for a lot of pitching. Oh, I get relief pitchers last. I feel like that doesn't, never really cared about that. All right, first baseman, second. I need a third baseman here. Kevin Euclid, Aaron Boone still available. Brandon Inge. Probably gonna go for just Sean Burrows. I never really picked Sean Burrows ever, but I feel like I need definite defense here. Let's see. Scott Pasednik still available. Yes. And then Andy Chavez, of course. Pick him sometimes. Left fielder. Eric Burns. Eric Burns was always underrated in terms of he had speed and he had left-handed hitting power, or left-handed pitching hitting power. Yeah. Third base and left. Yeah, we don't have a catcher. Oh, I forgot my catcher. Mike Matheny. Oh, we lost Henry Blanco, man. Jose Molina or Vitor Villalba. I lost my pitcher, dude. Mike Matheny it is. All right, so that's my roster. Now I have to get the backups here. Shea Hillenbrand, first baseman backup. Julio Franco always had a cool batting stance, so he was entertaining. Ricky Weeks, 89 speed. We could make that work usually as a backup. Yeah, Ricky Weeks for sure. Chase Utley. Chase Utley's all the way down here, and I know that he like improves over time, but he was never really a pick for me. I always picked speed when it got to down here. Jose Hernandez, Pokey Reese. Let's see here. And now you have players that are like not in the players. I don't think they're in the Players Association, but they're like made up. There are a lot of like made up quote unquote players in here, which I understand. Kenny Lofton, maybe? Can he throw? No, he can't really. Ray Matthews Jr., Brady Sizemore. Let's see here. Dave Roberts had 90 speed. Matt Stairs. Ooh, BJ Sherhoff. Frank Catalanato had a crazy batting stance. Oh, man. There, I'm just guessing at this point. Let's go to the starting pitchers. I think I only have like 4. I have 4. Okay, cool. When I waited too long. That was a challenge of MVP baseball, where you just have all these players and you just like forget about certain things because you can get so distracted by like the good power hitters at the top, and then you're like, oh man, I don't have a starting rotation at all, or oh man, I just don't have this and this and this. So it was fun. But the interesting thing about fantasy baseball for the Dynasty is that they do all the fantasy drafting for the minor league stuff as well. You have the opportunity to draft for everybody if you really wanted to go that hard. I never really did that because that is a lot of time, but I totally understand why people do that. It's a fun thing. I get it. Brett Boone went 7th. Brett Boone really that good? This is 35-year-old Brett Boone, I guess. All right. Brett Boone went before Ichiro, bro. That's crazy to me. Now, the cool thing about the Dynasty is that you set everything about your pitching rotation. You set everything about your batting order. You can do that, but then you optimize the rosters. It does it for you. So now it looks like we have the fastest team in the league, which is fine. I like that. Having the fastest team in the league was always like a priority for me, because even if the players couldn't hit, they always could bunt, or they could always like steal bases and all that. Yeah, so that was really like a cool part about Dynasty mode. And you also had an inbox, which would like talk to you about just player happiness and all the basic stuff. And then once you would sim and schedule and then go like a little bit farther down the line, your chemistry bar would be important. And this was just a really fun game to play. Like, you would be in absolute battles with the computer, depending on what difficulty mode you would play. But it was always a fun time to just play this game. Now, again, with each series that you played, you would get an email about strategy being like, we should try to do this. We should try to do this, which made it feel really realistic. And then you'd also have stuff from the staff, and then certain players would get injured, or some players would be like, oh, unhappy over time. So that was my favorite thing about Dynasty mode. You also had the team goals. And so our team goals would be to win 1 Cy Young Award. I don't know if that's happening, but that would be over the 3 years to have someone win a Cy Young Award or whatnot. And then you had other goals, which would be like minor league goals, and I think they'd be kind of random. But we're the 6th best team in the league, right? Now you then had around the league, which would have league news, and they'd have the stats here, which I really liked, the league leader stats. Loved everything about this. But yeah, it's an extensive dynasty mode, and I do like the fact that each team, like there was a scouting report. This was like be the lineup that you're gonna face. So it's really extensive, especially for 2005, right? And I loved everything about this dynasty mode because it never felt like you were going to get lost in the sauce, or like you can make it as hard or as confusing as you want it to be, which you can say for a lot of dynasty modes. But I think just the ease of being like, hey, this is what your team is good at, this is what your team is bad at, and just play baseball, man. This is a fun game, and they're just trying to make it like just as simple as possible. Now, the next game mode we're going to go into is owner mode. Now, owner mode, you had the option to do the fantasy player draft. You had the option to do default rosters. You had a fantasy staff draft, which I don't think I ever did. So I'm going to look and see what that is really quickly. The fantasy staff draft is something I'm really intrigued about. All right, so now we have Felipe Alou, Bobby Cox. Oh, dude, I have never actually used the fantasy staff draft. So my manager, who do I want my manager to be? S. Anderson? What does it matter? Oh, trainer. You can draft the trainer. You can draft the scout. That's a cool feature. Let's see. Tony La Russa, absolutely not. Mike Scioscia. I wonder how they got to these ratings. I'm really intrigued by this, actually. Bobby Cox for sure. Now let's go Terry Francona. Nope. Let's go Anderson. Yeah. Now you have Buck Showalter as a minor league manager. MLB hitting coach. All right, minor league manager, Buck Showalter, sure. And then hitting coach, discipline. Yeah, there we go. Now, how about a major league pitching coach? I care about the major league pitching coach for sure. Control. Jenkins, get over here. All right, nope. Let's see. MLB scout. Yeah. We don't care about the minor leagues. Well, I care about minor league scouting actually. I would care. But yeah, that's a cool feature. I never did that. And then the other thing about this is that you can create your own ballpark. And an interesting thing about this is that while MVP NCAA 06 baseball has a way more extensive create your own field, this was the like blueprint for that in terms of like starting it. And this is like really bare bones compared to the next year's feature that I think that they were planning to add to MVP baseball if they had a 06 baseball. But yeah, you can do the wall color, you can do the seating, you can do the field type and all of that. And I think over time you were able to like build wings. Let me get into this. Over time you were able to adjust your ballpark. You could do promotional days, so you could be like, oh, today is like a magnetic schedule day, and you could have 2 million to like spend on this, or like a player bat, and you could upgrade your ballpark. There it is. Yep, upgrade your ballpark. You could buy like fireworks and upgrade the seating capacity, which this was like all really cool, fun stuff to do in terms of the fact that like it gave you stuff to work towards. Like you could spend all 2 million of your dollars on just an extra set of lights. Like, you know, like over time, it was just cool to be able to like set prices and have like different concession stands. And yeah, this is a great owner mode in terms of just like what there is to offer. You could add stores and all that stuff. And, you know, depending on how good your team is, what the return of investment is. But there were so many other things that you were able to do. And I really do want to do a stream or a constant stream of like us playing owner mode in terms of just whatever, because this is so fun. I think this is the most fun thing. And the fact that this is the only version of owner mode, because this is the last version of MVP baseball, is kind of sad. But the fact that we got this is great, because now you have organization info, you have staff info, you know, you could also play the games as well. And I think the difference between, you get a lot more emails, definitely. But the fact that it made you feel like you had so much control over everything. This is like the true I think this is the true peak achievement of MVP Baseball 2005. I'm 100% sure. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about is manager mode, where you would be able to just play a game. And this was their sim feature as well, where you were able to just like choose to pitch around the batter, pitch batter, whatever. And you could just like cycle the displays in terms of just like it's strategy versus strategy. Like I pitched to Larry Walker and I pay for it. I'm going to pitch around Albert Pujols. He still gets out. Pitch around Scott Rowland, and then Jim Edmonds. Yep. But now I'm going to try to get Eacher to bunt for a hit. Up. Swing away. Swing away. Nope. We're cooked. All right. Pitch batter. Hey, Mayberry, pitch batter. Yeah. Pitch batter for sure. Pitch batter. There's also an option to hit the batter, which is really cool. I think that's so funny. Okay, Brett Boone gets a, let's go run and hit. Yeah, there we go. Run and hit again. Yeah, okay. Let's see here. Sacrifice bunt, pinch hit, pinch run, no steal. No, there's nothing to steal here. Oh, maybe. Oh, steal second. Okay. He's out. Got him. That would have scored at Banez, wouldn't it? Oh, well. But there it has so many like options that we have. And this was a really fun thing to do. If you were trying to simulate like an inning or so, or simulate a couple of innings, manager mode would like kind of replace this. So I think that's just a fun aspect to the game. Now, I think that I talked about everything about MVP Baseball in full. So I think that that's going to be the end of the video. But thank you guys so much for watching to the end of the video. I appreciate you guys. Feel free to give this a like, a follow, a subscribe. Feel free to share this with anyone that also loved MVP Baseball. Feel free to put this in Reddit threads. But I think that this is a good time capsule. And if you have any other games you want me to do time capsules of or deep dives of, just feel free to let me know. All right. Love you guys. Bye.